I'm just going to remember, since we have a movie star here, that it was a movie star, George Clooney, who really affected this election. I mean, Biden might still be in there if George Clooney, you know, talk about celebrities and how important they are. I don't think they're important in getting the voters to do something, but they sure were important in getting the party heads to finally do that.
George Clooney's career crisis, the feud that's shaking Hollywood. Hold on to your seats, because Hollywood is buzzing with one of the most sensational meltdowns of 2025, and at the center of it all is none other than George Clooney. Yes, the man synonymous with charm, elegance, and cinematic royalty is facing a career implosion so dramatic it could be mistaken for one of his own disaster flicks. And fueling this fire? Bill Maher, the famously sharp-tongued host of Real Time. Trust me, this feud is as absurd as it is entertaining. Before we unravel the betrayal, humiliation, and public disgrace, thank you for tuning in. Now buckle up. Things are about to get wild. It all started with a political ad Clooney hoped would reinforce his image as a socially conscious Hollywood heavyweight. But instead of elevating his status, the ad flopped, and not just a soft stumble. We're talking a full-blown nosedive. It bombed harder than any of Clooney's past box office disasters. The backlash was immediate and brutal. Critics and social media ripped it apart, calling it tone-deaf and out of touch. But the real drama began when Bill Maher jumped into the conversation. Never one to shy away from controversy, Maher's scathing commentary took the criticism to a whole new level. What followed was a bitter, very public clash between two Hollywood giants. And trust me, this story is just getting started.
Come on, boys. Let's make America great again. It's your turn, buddy.
Before you cast your vote in this election, think about how it'll impact the people you care about the most.
Daddy!
Remember, you can vote any way you want, and no one will ever know.
Do your patriotic duty.
You bet I did, brother.
What happens in the booth stays in the booth. Vote Harris Walls.
Paid for by Vote Company.
George Clooney's reputation crisis, the high-stakes gamble that backfired. Critics wasted no time tearing into George Clooney's failed political ad, branding him out of touch, insensitive, and worst of all, pandering. Everyone makes mistakes, but this wasn't just a misstep. It was a full-on nosedive down the staircase of public opinion. Clooney has weathered storms before, but Hollywood's tides have shifted. The backlash spread like wildfire, and it quickly became clear that the once untouchable star now had a fragile reputation to protect. Determined to regain control of the narrative, Clooney made a bold move, a high-stakes media tour designed to clarify his stance and win back public support. But this wasn't just any press run. It was a do-or-die mission. Clooney's team crafted a strategic plan centered around one key appearance: Real Time with Bill Maher. The idea was straightforward. Clooney would sit down with Maher, charm the audience with his signature wit, offer a sincere apology, and share exclusive political insights to remind everyone why they admired him in the first place. On paper, it seemed like a winning formula. But Bill Maher, ever the skeptic, wasn't sold. When Clooney's team pitched the idea, Maher reportedly shot them down without hesitation, saying, "This isn't a platform for celebrity rehab." Just like that, Clooney's big comeback plan was dead on arrival, and his public reckoning was far from over. George Clooney's desperate comeback, the fight to regain respect. Clooney's team wasn't ready to throw in the towel just yet. Determined to rehabilitate his image, they returned to Bill Maher with an even more tempting offer: an exclusive appearance featuring explosive revelations, direct responses to his critics, and a media spectacle designed to dominate headlines for weeks. But Maher wasn't buying it. He believed Clooney's involvement would alienate his loyal audience, people who tuned in for sharp political discourse, not Hollywood melodrama. Then Maher took it a step further. "Well, we have a movie star here, George Clooney, who supposedly influenced this election," he mused, suggesting that while celebrities might not sway voters directly, they do push political leaders to act. It was clear that Maher wasn't just rejecting Clooney's pitch. He was making a broader statement about celebrity influence in politics. The rejection stung. Clooney's team, growing increasingly desperate, made a third attempt. This time, they proposed a live Q&A session where Clooney would face unscripted questions from the audience, an opportunity to prove his sincerity and willingness to engage. But with Maher standing firm and public sentiment still raw, it was starting to look like Clooney's comeback might already be dead in the water. George Clooney's fallout with Bill Maher, a humiliation he never saw coming. With his reputation on the line, George Clooney was determined to turn things around. But after his third failed attempt to get on Real Time, it was clear Bill Maher wasn't budging. Clooney, undeterred, decided to take matters into his own hands. In a last-ditch effort, he personally reached out to Maher, proposing an unscripted, candid conversation on the show. A chance to present his side of the story without a polished script. But Maher wasn't moved. Insiders say Maher bluntly told Clooney, "This show isn't a venue for celebrity redemption arcs." For Maher, it wasn't about ratings. It was about protecting the integrity of his program. Allowing Clooney to use it as a comeback vehicle would compromise that. This wasn't just a professional setback for Clooney. It was a personal blow. A man who had spent decades as one of Hollywood's most beloved and influential figures, someone who could open doors with just a smile, was now being publicly and decisively turned away. The rejection stung in a way Clooney wasn't prepared to handle. But the humiliation didn't end there. Behind the scenes, tensions escalated. Maher, never one to shy away from controversy, reportedly began mocking Clooney in private conversations. Sources claimed Maher called Clooney's repeated pitches pathetic and even compared his desperation to auditioning for a pity party. And these jabs didn't stay private for long. Word quickly reached Clooney, and he wasn't happy. Maher didn't stop there. During one of his monologues, he took thinly veiled shots at Clooney other Hollywood elites. Maher mocked actors who believe their political opinions carry more weight than their box office performance, a comment that anyone following the feud could easily trace back to Clooney. Meanwhile, Clooney wasn't ready to let this public humiliation stand. His team began exploring alternative platforms, pitching him to shows like The Howard Stern Show and other high-profile outlets. Clooney was determined to reclaim control of his narrative, but after Maher's very public rejection, the road to redemption was looking steeper than ever. George Clooney's Hollywood meltdown. Is this the end of an icon? Even The Howard Stern Show, known for its no-holds-barred interviews, hesitated when Clooney's team pitched an appearance. Sources say Stern's camp was wary of linking the show to Clooney's increasingly negative public image. Behind closed doors, Clooney's frustration was boiling over. He was reportedly in full meltdown mode, lashing out at anyone who dared to criticize him. A man whose career was built on charm and likability was now unraveling in real time. Meanwhile, Bill Maher stood firm. Though he never explicitly named Clooney in his remarks, the tension between them was unmistakable. For Maher, this wasn't just a professional disagreement, it was a statement. By refusing to let Clooney use Real Time as a platform for damage control, Maher positioned himself as a guardian of authenticity, unwilling to dilute his show with celebrity theatrics. And so, we find ourselves at the center of Hollywood's most talked-about scandal of the year. This isn't just about one actor's downfall or a talk show host's refusal to cooperate. It's a reflection of a broader cultural shift in Hollywood. Public sentiment and social media outrage now hold the power to shape the fate of even the most established stars. As for Clooney, his options are dwindling. Major studios are keeping their distance, and talk shows are turning him away. The question now is whether Clooney can pull off a comeback, or if this marks the final chapter of his Hollywood reign. Only time will tell, but one thing is certain: this drama is far from over. What do you think? Has George Clooney's Hollywood fairy tale turned into a tragedy, or does he still have a shot at redemption? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more updates on this ever-evolving saga.